Hi everyone, my name is Nitya and you are at my Flosstube channel, Daybreak Stitchery. This is a channel all about cross stitch and it's the end of January 2023. So this is when I come in at the end of the month and just check in and show you what I've been stitching on. So if you are returning to my channel, welcome back. It's so nice to check in with you again, chat with you for a little bit here. And if you're new to my channel, welcome, and I hope you see something that you like, and I hope this is a good companion to your stitching or whatever, crafting, whatever you're working on for today. I'm going to get right into it. I have a whole bunch of things to show you, so we're just going to get started. So I have a finish to show you. It's a finish from December 2023, and I had mentioned it, but didn't say much about it because I finished a piece. It was a start and finish in December, and I submitted it for the Fortnite Fabrics Fair, and so I wanted to keep it anonymous, and now that's over, so I can show it to you. So I'm pretty excited to show this one to you, actually. I haven't finished, it's like almost fully finished. It's framed, but I had to remove the backing on it, and I haven't replaced it, so I think I can hold it up to show you. So this is Julbocken. It's a modern folk embroidery pattern. It's a I think it's Swedish. It's a Swedish Christmas goat. And what I'll try to do is I'll put mine here. This is the fully framed one. And I'll put mine here, the details. It's a 36 count. It's on a 36 count color and cotton. The color is called Candy Cane. Isn't that a dreamy color? It's this like hot pink. And the silk floss, it's a silk floss, it's Silks for You, PR053. It's like an off-white ecru blend. And it's stitched with 2 strands over 2 on that 36 count fabric. I really love this pattern. I especially love these tiles at the bottom. I want to stitch like a huge piece, a whole piece with just that repeated motif over and over again. It was really, really fun to stitch that one. And the border's pretty. I like all the tiny kind of floral motifs in the border. And the goat, I think I really like that too. The kind of like ribbons hung over. And it's really pretty. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you, so I'll hold mine up here. And I'll try to throw a picture up here next in the space next to. And what I did was I basically stitched the opposite of what the pattern shows. So on the pattern, the fabric is off-white and the goat is stitched in red and all the negative stitching is stitched in red. But I did the opposite. I stitched the off-white and left the fabric in like the reddish, or in this case, pink tone. And then I framed it because it's a Christmas kind of wintry pattern, I went with kind of alternative traditional colors. So usually red and green for Christmas. So since the fabric was hot pink, I went with like a teal green. Instead of conventional green. So I don't know what it was. I wanted to have a start and a finish to submit for the Fortnite Fabrics Fair, and I thought of this one. And when I looked at the pattern, something just said to me, I don't think I want to do, like, usually this whole border, all of this would have been, the red bits would have been stitched. But when I looked at it, I thought I feel like I'm going to make a lot of mistakes on it if I stitch the red on that. So when I pulled out this fabric, this is a tiny piece of this color and cotton fabric. I just thought, well, let me try to do the opposite. I'll stitch the white parts, because stitching these motifs like took nothing, right? Like within a couple hours, a few hours, you're able to do that. And this stitched up really quick too. The only thing was all of this background would have to be stitched, but even that was pretty easy because it's just like a big block. Once I got the outline of the goat down, everything else was just fill in, so it was really easy. So the thing I'm super proud of on this, well, the whole thing, I really love it. I want to do more. There's, I think this was part of like a whole set of animals that recently came out by Jacob from Modern Folk Embroidery. There's like a dragon and a cat and maybe something else that I'm missing. And I think this came out pretty recently with that group too. And the thing I really love about it is the way that I stitched the background, actually. So this, I should have brought down my hank to show you, but this PR053 floss, it's like a slightly variegated floss. It goes from, it's like a lot of the Silks For You, the single color flosses from Silks For You. Like you order like this, an off-white hank, or I have a teal hank. But when you look at it, there's a really subtle variegation in it. There's like some parts of it look almost matte finish, like they're kind of a dull teal. And then other parts are more shiny. They have a brilliant shiny teal to them. They're the same, they look the same tone, but really they're a little bit different. So there were like 2 tones in this floss. And I was thinking of how to stitch that background. And I thought, well, I'm not sure that I want it to show up like stripy, because usually I stitch like a whole row across and then a whole row back. And that creates kind of a stripy effect. Let me see if I can show you. I don't have it here. I was going to pull out my Modern Folk Embroidery, my Fruits of Plenty piece, because that one I have a variegated floss that's kind of similar. It's got like 2 shades of a similar tone, and it looks super stripy, going back and forth. But I didn't want that for this piece, because I thought it would distract from everything else that was going on. So I researched just ways to stitch with variegated floss. If you saw my last video, you know I've been doing a lot of kind of learning about different ways to use variegated floss. And I came across this blog by the Copper Fox. Have you heard of that one? I don't know if it's someone who's a Flosstuber. I didn't look too much into who the person was, but I read their blog article, the Copper Fox. I'll link them below, and everybody else who I mentioned today. They had an article on just different strategies for using variegated floss. And one of them was like a checkerboard strategy. So like you stitch... it'll be hard for you. You can't tell because the variegation is so, the 2 variegated colors are so similar here, but you basically stitch, you go in a row and you stitch every other stitch. And then the next row up, you stitch the opposite stitches. So it's almost like you're stitching a checkerboard. So you use like half of your length of floss, you go up maybe 3 or 4 rows. And then as the color starts to change in the floss, you come back down and you fill in the opposite checkerboard stitches that you didn't catch the first time around. So you're kind of stitching like alternative stitches. And so it creates this sort of, you can tell it's not stripy in the background, right? It's got more of like a mottled or marbled effect that I really love. I think it's so pretty. And it kind of looks like, I'll try to put the picture of the model stitch from the pattern. I'll try to put it back up here. It kind of looks like that fabric has that sort of marbly kind of look to it. So I think I did a pretty good job of recreating that just with like a simple variegated floss. So I would definitely do that technique again. I really like the look of it. I think it seems like it's a strategy that works best when you have a floss that has that super light variegation to it. It's not, I don't know how that would look. It might be worth experimenting with like a heavily variegated floss that actually changes multiple colors. I'm not sure about that, but in something that has more or less the same color, but just kind of 2 different tones, I'm thinking of like Color and Cotton flosses. A lot of them are like that. Like when you get a blue floss from Color and Cotton, it'll have that sort of gentle variegation to it. I think that would create a really pretty background. I'm thinking for all of you like sampler stitchers who have like huge pieces of sky to stitch or lots of grass to stitch, those kind of things, like big chunks of fill-in, I think that could be pretty good strategy to use. So I'm super happy with how this turned out. And this is this frame is from the Rusty Roof. This was actually why this piece, the frame for this piece, was why I went on my frames binge last month. If you saw my last video, I FFO'd a whole bunch of stuff because I got a whole bunch of frames from the Rusty Roof. My original, I went to the Rusty Roof to get this frame for the Fortnite Fabrics piece, and then I ended up just getting a whole bunch of other ones. So anyway, so this frame size is 6 inches by 8 inches, and it fits this piece perfectly. So worked out. So anyway, that again was Julbocken. It's spelled with a J, like J-U-L-B, Julbocken, and it's the Swedish Christmas goat, and it's by Modern Folk Embroidery. Okay, I want to set this down in a better spot. I will be right back. I'm going to grab whips. I have a whole bunch of whips to show you, and so I'll be right back. Okay, so whips. So this year, I didn't set up a whip go board, and I do have a lot of whips I want to chip away at this year. I want this to be a year of chipping away at whips for me. So I created the cell. It's called the Queued Up cell, and that's what I'm using to guide, kind of figure out which whips I want to work on. And the whole premise of it is that the idea is that I love starting new things. If you know me, I start projects all the time. That's how I end up in a situation with as many whips as I have, probably like over 100. And so I have new starts that I have queued up. I'm keeping a list in my memo pad on my phone of just projects that I really, really am excited to start next. So what I'm doing is I'm choosing whips either by those same designers that I have queued up or on a similar theme. And I'm trying to see if I can finish a whip related to that new start before I queue up, before I do the project that's queued up. So that's kind of what has guided about 4 of my whips that I worked on this month. So I think so far it's been a pretty good idea. I know some of you are doing this too. You're welcome to join in. If you like that idea, if you're like me and you have a whole bunch of projects queued up and you feel like you want to encourage yourself to actually finish something first before you start that new project, I feel like this has been good. It's working so far. Okay, so number 1 on my list of items that I have queued up is Miriam from MarroomyCrafts. Her Afshan sampler. She released a beautiful border sampler late last year, and so I have had that on my mind, but I have a huge piece by Miriam that I want to finish first, and so I chipped away at it this month, and I want to show you where I'm at. You're going to be excited to see this because I made some decent progress on this. It's big. I don't know if I can get all on screen. Are you seeing it? So this is 8 of the 9 creatures in Miriam's Magical Carpet Menagerie. Let me hold them up again. And let's see. I finished this month. So I had finished a few of them already before. This month I finished this one right here is Prickly Ram. I finished this whole tile here. Lanky Camel I had already finished previously. Hazy Hen, I think is Hazy Hen. I had finished that before. Giddy Crabs, I got a good go on the border this time around. I had just done like a corner I think before, so I started working my way around, and then I started a couple of the motifs in that one. Perky Lion, I made really good progress on. I had basically done before this month only the top part of the mane right here of Perky Lion, so I worked the border the whole way around. Got most of the face done and a little bit of the body too, and the tail. Funky Peacock I finished this month. I gotta roll it up a little bit. I can't tell what I'm showing you. There we go. So Funky Peacock I finished this month. What's our cat's name? I don't remember. Wonky Cat. Wonky Cat I had finished before. So before this month. So that had already been done. So previously I had done Wonky Cat, Lanky Camel, and Hazy Hen. So everything else I worked on this month. I'm going to hold it up again and show you. I absolutely love this piece. So this is on Fiber on a Whim. It's, I think wheat is the color of it. I don't know. I can't find any of my Fiber on a Whim labels. So I'm guessing. I think it's wheat because I remember wheat having like a little bit of slightly green tones along with the browns. So I think that's what this is. And then the floss is, let me look it up. It's a Silks for You also. It's PR 132. And it's a very lightly variegated teal. You can kind of see, like if you look at Lanky Camel's neck, you can kind of go down the neck. You can see a couple of different tones. So that's what's going on there. I'm really enjoying this one. It is super easy to stitch because this fabric is an 18 count Aida. 18 count Aida is just so easy to stitch on. Everything works up really fast. I can't wait. This is going to be probably the largest piece I've done in a long time. I think most people are doing these as individual tiles, just smalls, because all of them are around like 100 by 100 or a little bit less than that. So they're really easy. You could definitely, this could be like, one of these could be a SAF in a month for sure. But I wanted to stitch them all as one piece. I've left one out. Oh, this down here is going to be Zippy Dog. So I made my way across the top border. I had made it halfway through before, so I made it to the end. Zippy Dog and Perky Lion, I think, have the most stitches in them. There are huge chunks of fill-in on those, so they will take the longest to do. Giddy crabs should work up pretty quickly. I can't remember who I left out. There are 9 animals in the collection. So I don't remember. I don't remember who I left out. I waited until the 9th one came out. I had started stitching almost all of them. And then to make the decision on the 8th one, I waited till the last one came out and then decided between number 8 and number 9. So Zippy Dog, I think, was number 8. So I think there was one more that was released beyond that. Aren't they just so cute? I love it. I can't wait to finish this and put it up. I think it's so pretty. I love all the, like, each one of these has a beautiful border. So if you like stitching borders, you have something interesting to stitch on each one. And then each one, of course, has the animal. And then each one has some kind of, like, pretty loose motifs, too. Like, these would all make great spot samplers. Like one big great spot sampler if you stitched all of these kind of loose. This one down here is going to be one of those kind of loose motifs coming in. So, good fun stitching on this one. And I don't know if I can finish it next month. There's still quite a bit, but I want to keep chipping away at it because I definitely want to start Afshan Sampler this year. The long distance stitchers, Megan and Megan, they're doing a sal with the Afshan sampler. So if you like border samplers, that would be a great one to try by Miriam, MarroomyCrafts. there must have been a goal up there. Steve's watching soccer. He got really excited. A proper goal too. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, border sample. If you want to stitch a border sampler, I think the one by Miriam would be really cute. And then you can join Megan and Megan, long distance stitchers. They're Sal, so you can join them in stitching it. I definitely will be joining it. I just want to finish this one first. Okay, so Magical Carpet Menagerie, and then each animal has a different name too. Okay, next one in the list for Cute Up Sal. So I do actually have a new start. I'm going to be starting next month. It's a Dragon by Ann Stokes, and it's kind of a medium-sized full coverage piece. And so I thought, okay, well, before I start, I'm starting it because I'm selling it with someone. I'll tell you more about that in plans. So I'm definitely going to start it, even though I haven't finished something first. But I thought, well, this is a good occasion for me to pull out any other medium-sized full coverage piece that I have and chip away at that, and with the hopes of maybe getting it done this year. So I took out Keslyn's Quiet Strength. Someone had finished this in the Fortnite Fabrics Fair. It may have even won in like the humanoid category, and it was really beautiful. It had been stitched on like a pale aqua kind of fabric. It was perfect for quiet strength because it was very calming. I've chosen a very lively fabric to contrast with the quietness of the person, the figure in the stitching. So, am I holding it up right? Here's what I have so far. Now, this doesn't look like much yet, but layers have been added. So before this, all I had really done was like a couple of these lines of the black. This is DMC 310. Let me see if I can hold up the picture too, both at the same time. So the DMC 310, all those lines of DMC 310 that you're seeing, those are the folds, the shadows and the folds of her scarf, her head scarf. And then this part, let me see if I can show you. I did a lot of the shadows because it's easy, like big chunks of DMC 310. This part right here is the shadow that comes underneath her ear and around towards her chin. So like this part right in here, all of this dark part is what this part is here. And then I'm starting to fill in some of the gradients that make up like right here. This is her arm right here. So that's coming in there, the arm that's right here. And then all of the shadows that are in the headscarf too. And I'll tell you what, so this is on a 36 count. This is Rubius by Picture This Plus, and I'm using 2 strands, and I'm using the called for colors. I wanted to tell you actually how many called for colors there were. There are not many. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. There are 12 colors used, which really isn't that much. I mean, considering some of you folks who do enormous full coverage pieces are dealing with like 60, 80, 100 colors, this is only 12 colors. And so for me, what that means is it's a tiny step up in difficulty compared to Marigold, who I show you this one almost every time. But Marigold is a pattern from my friend Sarah, who goes by ModCross on Instagram and on Etsy. This is a downright easy pattern, and Sarah set it up to be easy, even though it's full coverage. This one uses, I want to say, like 7 to 8 colors. You could stitch it up in a month. So some of you who are like really quick stitchers and you spend a lot of time stitching, you could do this in a month for sure. Because what Sarah told me is that she very consciously kept the confetti stitching to a minimum. Like basically just here in the center, there's a little bit of confetti stitching, but mostly in the petals, it's these wide bands of color. So you're really, it's a lot of like fill-in stitching. You're doing a lot of red and then a lot of orange next to it and then a lot of yellow next to it. And it's when you step back that you can see the gradients in it. So this one is a little bit more challenging in that there is quite a bit of confetti stitching, not as many kind of chunks or bands of color where everything's the same color, except for the DMC 310. See how there's big chunks of DMC 310? But when you go down to the other colors, there are quite a bit of the other color. Like basically all of the other 11 colors are in these patches here. So I was going to say, I won't say it's tricky because it's not. It's not tricky. I won't even say it's hard. It's like moderately easy. I don't know. It's a step up from easy. And there are things about it that are really easy. So on 36 count linen, super easy. Like you would think that doing all of this fill-in stitching would make it hard for the needle to go through. I'm using 2 strands on a 36 count. You would think that it would get kind of really bunched up and tight stitches. That doesn't happen at all. There's a lot of easy give. The needle moves easily through the fabric. That's never a challenge. The challenge is, of course, just keeping track of all the stitches. And some of the colors are very similar in tone. So you really have to just be careful about reading the symbols. I'm using a working copy and I'm highlighting as I go along. That's been working for me so far. So that's what I'm going with. So I'm excited to keep working on this. I was surprised. I stitched on this for about 10 different days. I'm surprised at how much I was able to do in that short amount of time. It worked up way faster than I thought it would. And so this right here, that's the top edge. It won't go any farther than that. This right here, we're at the edge right here, so it won't go farther than this. So I've already met, and this is not the bottom, but there are only about 6 or 7 more stitches to get to the bottom. So we're really close to the bottom here too. So I think this is great. I feel like it's a good, like a natural step up from doing this full coverage to doing this full coverage. And then for Queued Up Sal, the project that I have queued up next is a dragon by Stokes. And that one uses, I want to say like 20 colors. So that's like the next step up from this. So I think this is I'm moving in the right direction. And I'm doing some full coverage that I feel like I could actually finish. So that's pretty exciting. So anyway, this pattern again is called Quiet Strength and it's by Keslyn. And there are some people who are, I've seen it a few times on Instagram, but I haven't seen a lot of people stitching on it. If you are wanting to get, dip into the pool of full coverage, this might be a good one to start with. It is not, I would say it's not scary at all. It's not a scary full coverage pattern, and I would say it's fairly easy to stitch on. Okay, next up in Queued Up Sal, so I have 2 rabbit patterns that I want to stitch. One is Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world, is doing a Beatrix Potter Sal, and she's using one of the Stitchy box samplers. It's a Beatrix Potter, like a Quakery kind of sampler. And I don't have that one, but I have Stitchy Box's companion to Beatrix Potter. And this was an amazing find. It must have been back when when I was shopping from one of the markets or expo, one of the trade events, right? I was shopping at Abby, Top Knot Stitcher's shop, and I always, always, always look through her clearance items because she will sometimes have patterns that are like $4, $5, $6 less expensive than on 123 Stitch even. So this one was on sale at that time, and it looked really pretty. I like all these separate, I love like spot sampler kind of things. I like Quakers, so I picked it up, and then when Julie started the sale, I thought, wait a second, I think I have that. And it wasn't quite the same. It's not the original Beatrix Potter sampler, but it's the companion. I'm going to do it for the sale. I want to make it a brown. I'm thinking of using some kind of brown tone. And if it works, I know I have a piece of XJU design, little bunny linen. I thought that'd be cute, kind of a bunny theme with Beatrix Potter. So that's what's queued up. So before I do this one, I have, oh no, and my second one, important one, another rabbit one I want to stitch on that I just added this week was the new Shimanchu Rabbit by Laura Tarsier Stitches, has her first pattern out. Super exciting. She's sharing like a whole bunch of her heritage because she's from Okinawa. Her family heritage is from Okinawa in Japan, an indigenous group that lives there or lived there. I need to read up on that history. And so she knows a lot about textiles that are used from that culture. And so she stitched a rabbit motif for Lunar New Year for, this is the year of the rabbit. So she put out a pattern for that. I'm super, super excited for that. And actually, I even have a fabric lined up. Do I have it here? I have to dig for it. But I have a piece of Luminous Warmth. Is the name of it. It's a Fortnite fabric, and it's got like these really bright, pretty yellow tones. It almost looks like a sky, but with yellow tones in it. I used it in my cycling piece that I showed you last month. So if I know I have a scrap of that somewhere, so I think I'm going to use that because Laura was talking about how Shimanchu Rabbit is usually stitched on, or that motif is used on yellow fabrics. There's a lot of color significance with that. Anyway, so before I stitch on these kind of rabbit related things, I thought I better finish something that I have, a whip that I have that has a rabbit on it. So I worked on Rabbit Roundel this is by the Workbasket. And there we go. Can you kind of see the rabbit in the middle? It catches, depending on what light you look at this in, it's kind of hard to see with the floss I used. But this is sulky. The floss is sulky. It's 4061. It's poppy. I love it. I love like all these patches of these pinks and reds that are in it. I'm in a bit of a pickle because I have a little bit more. I'm almost done. I have this outer ring has to come in, and then there are a few more of these motifs in this layer, and then I'm done. I can finish it this month. But I can't find, I'm done with one spool of poppy, and I can't find my spare. I know I ordered some. So once again, my floss, like my lack of organization of floss is coming to get me. But so if I finish this, so this is, okay, back it up. This is actually I'm stitching 2 roundels on one fabric. This is an 18 count Mystic by Picture This Plus. So I'm stitching Rabbit Roundel on this side, and then this side, can you kind of see the neck of a bird right here? This is Swan Roundel, which is also by the Workbasket. So I'm stitching both on the same. This is with, this one here is with this sulky here. It's 4003. It's like a red and yellow variegated. So what I've told myself is if I finish Rabbit Roundel, then I can start Shimanchu Rabbit. And if I finish the whole piece, then I can start Beatrix Potter Sal. That's how I'm gonna do queued up Sal with this one. I really love it. I love these bright colors. You're gonna recognize Poppy because Miriam is using Poppy on one of her new designs. Miriam's been showing teasers of the next animal in this year's animal collection, so she's been using this color in that one. I gotta find my other spool of Poppy. It's kind of driving me a little bit crazy that I don't have, because I have a box with all of my sulkies, and I was so sure every time I got sulkies I would put them in that same box, but cannot find it. So I have the patterns here by the Workbasket. So this one is Rabbit Roundel. And then this one is Swan Roundel. And I like it because they're facing each other. I don't know if that was intentional or not. That's what actually made me want to stitch them both on the same piece. I thought it'd be cute that they're facing each other. So anyway, so for Cute Up Sale, that's my rabbit piece. And that will let me stitch on some other rabbit themed pieces so I can wrap that up. I think I can. I think I can finish this month if I get my floss situation sorted out. Okay, next up in Cute Up Sal is what? Ooh, I know. Is a restart, but I think it's for the better. Okay. This doesn't look like much of anything yet, but it is already so pretty, isn't it? So this is Birds from Bernard's Books by Modern Folk Embroidery. It's on a 40 count, picture this, plus truffle, I think is the color. Isn't that gorgeous? Very marbly fabric. So 40 count truffle, and I'm using 2 strands of DMC 221. This is a very dark shell pink. Isn't that a gorgeous color? So pretty. In some lights, it does look kind of like a deep coral pink. And in other lights, it looks like a brown. It looks like a coppery red. It takes on all these different tones depending on what light you're looking at it in. And so why is this part of Cute Up Sal? Because I have a huge piece queued up. I want to start Mermaid's Folly by Courtney Collection. It's an enormous piece. It's like, I think it's like 500 stitches across or something. But it's a huge negative stitching piece. Abby from Abby Bella Stitch is working on it, and it just looks so pretty. And I already know what colors and fabric I want to use for it. I have it in stash. So before I do that one, I thought, well, what are you going to finish first before you do that one? Pick another negative stitching piece and do that first before you start a new negative stitching piece. So that's this one, this Birds from Bernard's Books. And so I restarted this. I'll actually show you. I have you know me, I have a thing with restarting. I cannot get my colors right always on my first try when it comes to modern folk embroidery pieces. And I don't know why. Like my Fruits of Plenty, I really wanted to show that to you today just because I wanted to look at it because it's been a long time, but I can't find, I don't know what it's not like right out in front of everything here. That piece, I started so many times. I have like 5 starts of that piece. And even now, I'm settled on the final combo, but I sometimes even have doubts with that one. So this was my original start on Birds from Birds from Bernard's Books. It's pretty, right? It's a sulky, I think it's blackberry is the color. And it is really nice. But yesterday I sat down to stitch. So this, I'll show you what I did last night. I stitched just these little bits right here. So this whole part, this whole square, and then this whole band here I had already started. So I did these little bits down here. I was really struggling with the sulky on 40 count. I don't know why, because I've stitched other things on sulky with 40 count. So I don't know, something about it. Maybe I was just feeling tired, or I'm not sure. So I just thought, like, I'm going to try to restart this and see how it goes. So on the same fabric, but on the other end, I started with this, and it was easy peasy. For some reason on this fabric, the 2 strands of DMC just kind of slides through the fabric much quicker and much more easily than the sulky. So sulky's a tiny bit, you know, people always say sulky is the equivalent of like 2 strands of DMC. It might even be just a oh God, I don't know if you're hearing him up here. Steve gets really, my partner Steve out there is watching soccer and he gets really excited. It's funny to hear him. So, you know, everyone says that sulky is the equivalent of 2 strands of DMC. I want to say it's like a tiny bit thicker. Maybe that's what this is showing me. I don't know, but I'm going with this. I love this color, and I have a few, skeins of this DMC 221, so I can stitch from stash, and I should be in good shape. I'm really enjoying this. I love the look of this. And it's kind of like a, like same color on same color, because this fabric has a lot of pink tones in it, and then this is like a dark pink on top of that. I think it looks good. I'm super excited. Negative stitching is so easy to make a mistake on, but I'm taking it slowly and I think it's going okay. So I did all this last night. This whole bit I was able to do last night. Once I got going, it was really fast. I don't know what, like this whole thing here took me almost an hour to do, just this little bit last night. And then when I switched it up, I just kept chipping away at it. So very happy with that one, and I want to keep going with that one. Okay. So the next two pieces, I have two more whips that I worked on, and then I'll show you like a little bit for plans. And I also have a giveaway to announce, but I haven't drawn for the giveaway yet. So I think what I'll do is just, as soon as I, at some point when I'm editing the video, I'll do the draw and I'll put it in the video somewhere. Who wins the, I'm giving away some cottage garden threads, flosses. So we'll do that. I'll plug that in at some point somewhere. Okay, so I have two more whips. They're not part of Queued Up Sal. They're part of other Sals. So let me just show you what's going on. Okay, so first one is my Stitch for Pride 2023 piece. That has been awesome so far. I know a whole bunch of you piped in and said you were joining in on that. That's great. I hope more of you join Stitch for Pride 2023. It's a stitch along. It's hosted by Dee from Dee's 20 Stitches. They've put together just a wonderful set of resources. The idea is that you do a little bit of learning on queer issues, and in particular hearing trans voices. And then you can follow a stitching prompt that's provided, or you can kind of choose your own stitching prompt. The learning and the doing are the most important. So the resources were really great. You can check that out. And I just did a post this morning on Instagram where you can read about like what I thought about it, this month's prompts and everything. So for the stitching piece, for every month that I participate in Stitch for Pride, I'm going to work on the same piece. This is Dee's pattern. It's Trans Pride Tapestry, and it's based on a piece of artwork by Kari Nakin, Uncanny Kari. And so that's what I'm going to work on for my Stitch for Pride stitching. And then I'm thinking for like any month, like this month calls for a donation and also a subscription. I need to subscribe to the email list that was listed. But also for donations, I think I'm going to, anytime donation calls are going to be made, I'm going to try to donate to my local organization that I've raised money for before. It's Brave Space Alliance. And continue supporting them just because it's a local organization, and then I can keep in touch with what they're doing and maybe even volunteer sometimes. So that's the plan. We'll see if that's how it goes. So this is on a Fiberlicious fabric. It's Sweet Tea. And the bit I worked on this time is I did more of the green stitching in here, but the really exciting part is that I started on the diamante. And it does not look particularly shiny. Like this is a toile down here. That looks super shiny, right? You're seeing the glistening bit of it. The diamante does not look super shiny. So I'm almost wondering, okay. People have kind of a love-hate relationship, I think, with stitching on diamante. It's a very coarse, kind of rough, thick strand of thread. And so you can hear it. Like this Fiberlicious, it's an 18 count Aida. It's already kind of what I would consider a stiff Aida. It's a little bit stiffer than like a Picture This Plus, which is very soft. You can hear like this grating sound when you pull the diamante through this fabric. You can hear it. It's really loud. And I'm not sure. I don't find it unpleasant, but I'm not sure, because it takes a little bit extra effort and care to pull it through the fabric. I almost wonder sometimes if it's like destroying my fabric while I pull it through. And now I'm seeing the effects of it are not anything, I don't know. I'm not seeing anything super in terms of effects. When I look at it here, it's got a little bit of a sheen to it, let's say, but it doesn't have the like sparkle, the walk by sparkle of this étoile, which is much easier to stitch in. So I'm actually thinking of pulling this out. I did a little bit up here too. I'm actually thinking of pulling this out and replacing it with an étoile of some kind. So I'm going to see. I think the next time I stitch on this, what I will do is go to a different part of the face here and try it in étoile and see how I like the look of that, and then I'll decide between the two. Étoile is kind of funny to stitch into. I feel like it frays really easily. Étoile is basically like one strand of cotton floss and then one strand of like a filament, like a shiny filament. So that one strand I feel like frays really easily too. So neither one is super ideal to stitch in, but Étoile is significantly easier to stitch in than Diamant, I would say. So, and I probably, I haven't tried like conditioning this floss. I think people say if you put, beeswax or whatever on it, that could help. I haven't tried anything like that, but I don't know. When I was the night that I was stitching on this, I thought, this isn't too bad. But now looking back on it and seeing how little effect it really has, I'm just not sure what I want to do. To be continued. We will see how this proceeds next month. So that was Trans Pride Tapestry by D's 20 Stitches and Uncanny Kari. And then the last piece I'll show you is also a sale. This is Heart Sampler by BadVibesOnlyShop. And it's a piece that I work on whenever I get a chance to chat. Like every 2 or 3 months I do a Zoom chat with an old friend of mine, Priya. And we just kind of catch up. We're both stitching on this together. She's a cardiologist, so Heart Sampler's very meaningful to her. And so we just kind of chip away at it. She's doing hers. This is her first time cross-stitching on linens. So she's doing hers on a 30 count linens, which is a new experience for her. She went to her LNS and they recommended a fabric for her, so she's using that one. I'm putting this on this is a hand-dyed by Rolanda, but I don't know if it had a name, this fabric. And I'm using all reds and pinks from Stash. So everything I use is a little different. Hang on. I can tell you what this red... I worked on the tree. This tree is what I worked on this past month. It's Bing Cherry by Classic Colorworks is what this is. But everything is a little different. Like, this one I think is that DMC 115, the variegated red. This up here is a Silks for You. This down here is a Silks for You. This pinkish one is a Color and Cotton. I just grabbed, when I was kitting this up, I just grabbed like a whole bunch of reds and pinks and threw them into the project bag. And so each time I start a new motif, I just pick a new color for it. So I really like this. I love all these borders are real good fun to stitch. This tree is a little more complicated because it's like you have to really follow the pattern closely, but I think it looks pretty, doesn't it? And then the anatomical heart is going to go right here. It's pretty challenging to do while you're on a Zoom because we get to chatting a lot, and so it's hard to pay attention to the pattern. So I always find myself trying to choose like easier things to stitch on, easier motifs to stitch on. So I think this is going to be really cool when it's done. I like it so far. So that one I don't get to work on every month because we don't chat every month, but just, every couple months or so whenever we're chatting, I take that one out and work on it. So, okay, so are those all the whips? Yes, they are. So give me just a sec. We're almost done here because I just have a couple things to show you for plans, and then I'm going back to editing and stitching. I'll be right back. Let me grab my stuff I want to show you from for plans. Okay, so plans. Plans are to just continue with Queued Up Sal. I want to try to finish, if I can get my floss situation sorted out for Rabbit Roundel. I'm going to have to find it today. If I don't find it today, I'm just going to have to order some more. I want to finish that this month. And then I do have, contrary to the objectives of Queued Up Sal, I have 2 new starts I'm going to start next month. Sals are my weakness. They're my great weakness. I've said no to a lot of sals, but there were 2 that are just too exciting for me to pass up on. So one is a sal that I'm joining, for which I'm joining Anita, who is the Violet Stitcher, who is just like a dragon stitcher extraordinaire, truly. Like one of the coolest dragon stitchers I've seen on Flosstube. If you haven't seen Anita's Flosstube yet, you just got to check it out. Every time she's like hers, and then is it Debbie, who's Mama Bear Stitchery? Whenever I see their full coverage stitching, I always have to pause it and like show anybody who's near me, like, look at what they're doing. And Anita has like so many full coverage dragon pieces, and they are just stunning. They're so beautiful. So I was bringing up a couple months ago when I brought up the World of Cross Stitching issue from January 2023. I was pointing out like a trees pattern in there that's beautiful, and then I saw there's an Stokes pattern in there for Sky Dragon, And Anita had said, oh, well, maybe we should sell that. So I said, yes, we should. I would love to sell a dragon. Like, this would be it's not my first dragon, because one of the, now Fox and Rabbit, but used to be Linens and Threads. Like, they have a band sampler, like a medieval band sampler was one of their free sales one year. And one of those bands has dragons in it. So I know I've started stitching on a dragon before, but I've never done a full coverage dragon like this. So this is the one I mentioned earlier that has more like 20-ish colors in it. So it's going to be a step up, 2 steps up from Marigold and a step up from Keslyn's Quiet Strength. So I'm excited to start it. We're going to start it on the 4th. Anyone else who wants to join in, you're welcome to do that. I picked up a digital copy of the World of Cross Stitching magazine January 2023 issue. I didn't order a paper copy, and I think it might be a better choice because I know Anita was saying she finds the symbols are kind of small and hard to read on the print copies, and on the digital copy you can zoom in. You can take screenshots, even like zoom in even farther. And even so, some of the, because there's like some back stitching in that pattern, some of the symbols get covered up, so it's already kind of tricky to see. So that would be my recommendation. If you're going to get a copy of that issue, go for the digital copy. And what I've done is I've started pulling out some of the called for DMC. So there's a lot of like purples and purpley blues and grays. And then I don't have all of them, so I'm gonna try to use what I can, and then I'll make a run to Michael's if I need to for the additional DMC. And the fabric I've chosen is Mabon. It's a Be Stitch Me fabric, which I placed an order last year for some Be Stitch Me. Isn't that so pretty? I placed an order from Be Stitch Me, but I haven't really been using the fabrics very much. I just don't know why. I mean, I ordered, this is a 36 count linen. I haven't used any. I have like 2 or 3 pieces of 36 count linen from them that I haven't done anything with yet. And then I ordered some 18 count Aida from there too. And I wasn't getting the cover. I know this happened. I tried a few stitches on the 18 count Aida and it wasn't fully covering the stitches, my usual 2 strands of DMC. So I don't know, I won't say I got discouraged, but I just thought like, ooh, I'm not ready to use this yet. I'm going to go back to my Picture This Plus and Color and Cotton that I use. And I got to figure out what to do about that. So I'm kind of excited to try this dragon pattern on this fabric. I don't know which way I should face it. Because I was thinking the pattern is called Sky Dragon. So I don't know, I should probably face it this way. The orange should be the sky, like the dawn or something. Pink skies of the early morning, and then this should be the bottom. I think that's probably how I'll do it, this way. I have to make sure it fits with this orientation of fabric, but isn't that so lovely? I think it'll be great. I'm super excited about it. I think that these purples that are in the fabric here, let's hold up the floss to it. I think there's still enough of a contrast. Like this is a little bit brighter purple where it won't blend in too much. I'll still be able to see the floss on top of the fabric, I think. So I'm pretty excited to start that one. I'm just curious. I'm curious to see how it goes. So I'm set. I'm ready to start February 4th. I'm starting. And I can't wait to start that one. Anita has a gorgeous fabric she's using. I took a picture. I'll try if I still have it. Surely I saved it on my phone just like yesterday or the day before. I take a lot of sky pictures, especially when I get to work early, because these like winter skies are just so beautiful. And there was a sky that I saw that I thought, oh my gosh, that looks like Anita's fabric for Sky Dragon. But the part that I was looking at didn't show up great on my photo, but her fabric is like a white fabric or off-white, and then it has these like wisps of orange and purple going through it, like these wispy clouds. It's just so pretty. And I saw that. I saw those like pink and purple wisps in the sky the other day. I thought, oh my gosh, that Sky Dragon's gonna look beautiful on that. Okay, so that's one item I am gonna start. Really excited about that. And then the other one is kind of, I just today decided I'm gonna do this one because I've been really saying no to Sal's, but I think this one's gonna be doable. Nuri from Shaded Stitchery is doing, for Black History Month, is doing a stitch along with her Data Portraits in Paris pattern that came out last year. And Nuri's going to be doing like either a weekly or a daily update on Instagram where she provides like information about the pattern. It's more or less, it's about it's a graph, like a very colorful graph that's based on the graphs that were created by W.E.B. Du Bois during one of the, was it the Paris Expo where the, could have even been the Paris Expo where the Eiffel Tower was shown for the first time. It may have been that same one or maybe a later one. Maybe, I don't remember which one. This is why we need Nori to show us what's going on. But anyway, it's W.E.B. Du Bois created all these beautiful, colorful graphs just to show data about Black Americans, African Americans at that time. And so it has all of these different, what's the word I'm looking for? Not statistics. I'm at a loss. Anyway, it shows information about just populations, different Black populations in the U.S., different trends, and I think the goal was to try to educate the world about like what Black communities are like, what goes on there, what do families look like, what do working populations look like. So Nori has taken one of those graphs and turned it into a cross stitch pattern. And we'll be releasing some information either each day or each week about each of the motifs in that pattern. And also Nuri has said that it's fine to, you know, it can be a start along. If you don't finish it, it's okay. Although I think this one's very doable because it's only 92 by 92 stitches. So that seems like it could stitch up pretty quick. Anything less than 100 by 100 I feel like could be a SAF within a month. And then Nuri also said that for colors, you can do just like use from stash and try to match colors with whatever you have. That sounds good to me too. So I downloaded the pattern today. I bought the pattern this morning and downloaded it. So I'm going to try to start on that. And I have some scrap fabric. It on a 14 count Aida, the pattern, it ends up being only 6 inches by 6 inches. It's small. And I usually stitch on something even smaller count than that. So surely I have a scrap fabric I can use for that. I just have to pull some of the colors and see what do I use for colors. But so the hashtag for that is the hashtag DPIP It's the Data Portraits in Paris Sal. And again, it's Shaded Stitchery. Nuri's Instagram page is Shaded Stitchery. I'll have it linked below along with everything else. So I want to join in on that just because I've seen those data portraits before and I haven't read much about them. I've read a little bit about them, but I want to know more. So I think this will be good to learn about that. Well, that's about it. Thanks for sticking around for this little catch up. And I will see you in a month. And we'll just see what we have going on for our, in terms of cross stitch progress then. Thanks so much for being here. And thanks for listening. And I will catch up with you soon. Bye. Have a good day.